Charlie?
Yeah.
And then I'll wait until
Oh, you're running the meeting.
call the meeting to order and we'll go through everything.
Right.
Chair tonight.
So it's 7:02 or something, and we'll call this meeting, Planning Commission of Columbia Township, Planning Commission meeting to order. Do we want to say the pledge of allegiance? And we for golden.
That's up to you.
Let's put for golden.
You're running the meeting.
Okay. Roll call. Beverly,
Present.
Darrell is.
Sally, present.
Brother.
Present.
Present. And David Muslim is present. Let's approve the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda?
Or.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Right.
Well, did you second?
I
need a second. I need a second.
Yeah.
Okay. All in favor, everybody's in favor.
Yeah.
Approval of previous minutes. Have you looked at these?
And.
Anybody want to make a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Dolly moves to approve the minutes,
Support.
and then you got started. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Nobody's opposed. Public comment. There's no public comments received. After all in there.
No.
Really? Okay.
And that's on you.
Business. Well, let's dealt with property maintenance.
What are these two things?
Okay, the first is so the property maintenance code right now is the 2018 edition that's been adopted by the state. There was a 2021 edition, but it never got fully adopted, so we're still going for 2018. This is to help address interior and exterior property maintenance as far as blight, building codes. What I mainly use it for is to address unsafe, dangerous, abandoned structures. It is widely accepted by the courts. It's a respected code, and I've not had any issues with it. Every municipality that I work with, I suggest that they adopt it. All have done so, and we've had a lot of success with it. So it's more to give more teeth into the enforcement part.
I was just passing out some examples of case summaries, and I made a copy for everyone, including you.
That pertains to this.
Pertains to dangerous structures and things, and some remedies that other townships have done. I found this, and I don't throw away those magazines, I actually read them. I have insomnia a lot.
Good job.
And I just thought it'd be interesting to the members.
Which one is current? This is the current one? Okay,
Yes.
and this is the one we want, okay.
Oh,
Well,
wait a minute.
one
We
is-
don't have one.
There's,
Oh, we don't have one at all?
we have not adopted, Columbia has not adopted the
No.
IPM.
Oh, I misunderstood that, okay.
So this is, what it is again, it's a It's an actual book. So what we have to do as a township is pass a resolution and an ordinance adopting the book.
Okay.
There are specific areas in the book where you have to basically fill in the blanks as pertaining to each individual municipality. Now, it was sent to Laura at Foster Swift. She went through it and gave basically kind of filled in the blanks for you. After doing research surrounding municipalities and what their regulations are,
So
to give you a starting off point.
which version is the one from Laura?
This,
So
The one without the red X's?
this is the code, this is the resolution to adopt the code.
no, the
Okay.
code is actually, like I said, it's an
The
actual
code is a
book.
book.
That I personally don't have here. I think Ken has one, but I don't know where it's at.
3. So this is 4 pages that you've given us for this,
Correct.
all the way
Yep.
through to the signature page of the clerk.
So again, some of the things that have to be inserted is the name of the municipality. So I'm under section 2.
Oh, I see, insert Columbia Township. So one of the things we probably need to do is remove those words, right? The word
No.
insert, no?
No, because we are designating in this ordinance that we are inserting the following information into the book,
Oh, okay.
into the adoption of it. So inserting Columbia Township,
Okay.
inserting fees, which
Okay.
again, there's a fee schedule.
So,
On page 3, there's.
so would we would need to add these to the township's current fee schedule, right? Because since we don't have this, we also don't have penalties, fees adopted for it. These are like fines, correct?
Correct. Well, they're not fines. So I'm gonna let you read this real quick and then that it'll kind of clear it up. Now, the question kind of that I have for this, when you're looking at it, is if you see on there, it'll say service of property maintenance code officers. Calculated on an hourly basis as follows, $70 an hour. Now, if I'm the one going out to look at an abandoned structure for an IPMC violations, I don't charge 70 an hour, so that
Where did this come from?
came from the insurance.
Oh, okay, and that's
So
what
is
they
this a
inserted in there.
suggestion, or it doesn't matter, this is what the people are gonna pay? What is the $70?
That's what the township is
Oh,
going to pay to provide those services.
gotcha.
But again, if it's me going out, that's something that I have a question on because I just saw this.
Okay.
So I don't charge $70 an hour.
So this is a,
You charge merit.
this is a,
I mean, I would take 70 an hour, I'm not gonna lie, but no, I don't charge that.
this is a cost that would be determined by whoever the board hires to be the enforcement person, or whoever the
So the
enforcement person
enforcement
is.
person is going to be typically one of 3 people. Your building inspector, your zoning administrator, and your ordinance enforcement.
Can you use language like no more than? Or is it best just to say like a?
That's,
I guess the other part I'm thinking about though is that, you know, depending on who this is, like, is it $70 an hour? Like, is that cash? And the person's getting a 1099? Is it a compensation package that you're gonna be inclusive in your payroll taxes and unemployment taxes, federal? Okay.
Yeah, so, yeah, it would be based on whatever contract we come up with whoever that person might be. So I think she's just plugging in numbers
Yeah.
as an example. And Beth, you're giving us this so that we can understand what's happening, correct?
Correct.
Because this is something that we can't pass.
No, I need you to, no, PC needs to.
To
If you
recommend
so
it to the
choose.
board.
If you so choose to recommend to the
To
board.
the, okay,
Correct.
okay.
Because it is an ordinance.
I like
Okay.
Shelley's idea of up to $70 an hour,
Yeah,
Or
yeah, up
not to exceed or
yeah,
something like
yeah,
that. That gives
yeah,
us
yeah.
something.
Not
Let's,
to exceed, how about that?
Like, I'm gonna read it. Or
So did this come from the lawyer?
yes, so I'm going to be very honest and say I've never seen this before. In other places.
Oh, the part with the fee?
Correct. So usually what it is you fill in the blank stating any fines are associated with your ordinance penalties. Okay, so those
page
correlate.
3.
Yep, so those correlate, but as far as setting forth to pay for services
Fee
or,
schedule is hereby adopted as a fee schedule for activities.
Okay, so I just out of curiosity, so this is the document, what are these with the red X's? What is the, like, this is there's a 2-page that we got with that one, and now these are these,
so this is your,
yes. Oh,
your ordinance to
Yeah.
adopt.
yes,
And this is the resolution.
This is the resolution
okay,
to adopt said ordinance,
okay.
and this is the code fee schedule. I would
So,
say if the attorney is wanting this as is, there's a reason.
yeah,
So the-
I agree,
The ordinance we can pass,
yeah,
the resolution only the board can pass,
Yeah.
but this is for us to see what it would look
Yeah,
like.
Correct, so we
Yeah,
are
got
only,
it.
I'm giving you the whole thing,
I see, okay.
but right now,
got it.
we are only,
At this stage, yes,
we are only addressing the actual
Okay.
ordinance.
all right,
But I want to be forthcoming with all of the, with all the
Right.
documentation.
yeah, the details.
So again, we have Columbia Township. And I'm actually gonna pull up the book real quick, that way if you guys have any questions.
Mhm.
oh my God, could we have?
Not that I know of this, I mean, I have no idea, I've never even met him.
That's kind of fine in the last case.
Yeah.
Inspected that.
But,
For everyone.
going to the end though,
Oh, yeah.
that's how I wanna go into the end.
Okay, so in looking at the book, under the very first section in the adoption, and this is in the physical IPMC book. Section 101.1, again, we have insert Columbia Township.
Okay.
103.5 is, we're gonna input the appropriate fee schedule,
Mhm.
which is now in here, it correlates with the already passed township fee schedule. 112.4 is to insert dollar amount into location, and let me bring up 112.4. So I can read it to you. Failure to comply. Any person who shall continue any work after having been served with a stop work order, except such work as that person is directed to perform to remove a violation or unsafe condition, shall be liable to a fine of not less than, insert amount, dollars, or more than, again, insert amount, dollars. So this is under scope and administration for failure to comply with a stop work order.
or what was the other wording, stop work order or other violations? Is that what it?
with a stop work order. Or to bring it to a safe point and then stop the work. Is what they're dating it. So we have not less than 250 and not more than $500 fines. For those. 3024 has to do with noxious weeds.
Oh.
So it really addresses everything.
Insert
So we have to go ahead and
10
insert,
inches, oh, that means if they get higher than 10 inches,
correct. So under here, under external property areas, 3024 is weeds. Premises and exterior property shall be maintained free from weeds or plant growth in excess of
10 inches.
insert measurement in inches. Noxious weeds shall be prohibited. Weeds shall be defined as all grasses, annual plants and vegetation other than trees or shrubs provided. However, this term shall not include cultivated flowers and gardens. Same thing with crops. So we basically just looked at the immediate curtilage around a house.
yeah, this does not include natural areas, and
No.
it couldn't out here, and.
Nope. Not crops, not hay fields, not, yep, just immediate area surrounding. So let's say, right downtown Grand Junction, if someone's got 3 feet tall grass right in town, that poses an issues with possums, wood ducks, you know,
Snake.
yeah,
Critter.
rodent harboring. So especially in well-populated areas, having the noxious weeds ordinance, I'll give some authority to be able to notice to them, they have 10 days to cut. If they don't, then the township can send someone to just go cut it. And that goes on their property tax as a lien.
Yes, and then that sentence is added to the end.
Yep.
Okay, about a lien.
30414. Yes, 30414. Is insect screens. And this is under exterior structure. During the period from date to date, every door, window, and other outside opening required ventilation of habitable rooms, food preparation areas, food service areas, or any areas where products to be included or utilized in food for human consumption are processed, manufactured, packaged, or stored shall be supplied with approved tightly fitting screens of minimum 16 mesh per inch. And every screen door used for insect control shall have a self-closing device in good working condition.
Like a spring,
This is on any kind of a building, like on my house, I have to have closers on my screen door.
No, well, we're talking about food prep.
Okay,
Anywhere where you're manufacturing food,
gotcha,
you're
okay, I thought this
Serving
was just,
correct.
okay,
So I just want to make sure you're serving someone, you know, especially in commercial
Okay.
areas, you're serving someone
I would think
food.
that would all
We
be
don't have-
handled by the health department, why is the township getting involved in that, okay, all right.
Again, I mainly use
The health
this
department?
for,
clear,
I mainly use this book for garbage, accumulation of garbage-free refuse, unregistered, non-functioning vehicles, and unsafe, dangerous structures.
Okay,
I have personally yet to go around and inspect someone's paint on their house. Or, you know, I'm not gonna go measure people's yards with a ruler. You know, I mean, but, so that's the purpose of it, from my standpoint, is I'm utilizing it for very specific purposes.
but a common sense big picture is generally someone who's a bad blighter, their weeds in their yard.
Are more than 10
Up
inches.
past the knees and, you know, everything is in a neglected state, so.
And the court is very, very, very good about upholding against IPMC, even over township ordinances, because it is an internationally accepted code. So the dates that we have is May 1st to October 1st, 6023 and 4. Six. O2 heating facilities. 0.3 is heat supply. Every owner or operator of any building who rents, leases, or lets one or more dwelling units or sleeping units on terms, either expressed or implied, to furnish heat to the occupants, therefore shall supply heat during the period from, this would be September 1st to June 1st, to maintain a minimum temperature of 68 degrees in all habitable rooms, bathrooms, and toilet rooms. And then we go into exceptions. I have had to use this. My furnace broke. I'm a renter. My landlord will not fix it. We live in Michigan and that's a problem. So that's what the intent of that is.
Can they give them a wood burner and tell them to go get wood?
It's still providing heat, so
I was wondering what it looks like.
as long as they have access to heat, you cannot deny.
Well, migrant housing.
Would be the same thing, the property owner would have to supply heat
Even if it's not required by.
through the dates, September 1st to June 1st. So if they're here after, June 2nd through August 31st, obviously they don't need any sort of heating supply. Is that,
If they're here in the winter, I can't see anybody letting them
Well,
freeze anyway.
I guess I'm just, the migrant camp inspection has their own provisions for this, which is different than this, but.
the times that I've used this is a landlord tenant situation. 6024 is occupiable workspaces. Indoor occupiable workspaces shall be supplied with heat during the period from September 1st to June 1st to maintain a minimum temperature of 65 degrees during the period the spaces are occupied. Exceptions, processing, storage, and operation areas that require cooling or special temperature conditions, areas in which persons are primarily engaged in vigorous physical activities. So I can't go to work and my boss says, too bad I'm not paid for heat. So you're gonna work all winter without heat.
Unless your job is chopping wood in a warehouse.
Well, but
And that's a vigorous activity. Then you
Well,
make
that's
your
why-
own.
That's why it says occupiable.
Yeah,
work-
sure. No, I get it.
Workspaces on there. 602. Oops.
So it says section 304.14, but then the next paragraph is section 3.
Correct, so section 2, we're filling in the blanks. Section 3 is for stating that if there's any conflicts, this supersedes.
This, so
This supersedes.
if our township ordinance doesn't agree with this
This
applies.
supersedes.
Okay.
Mhm. And again, this is just building code, property maintenance code.
Because I don't know if we have an ordinance saying a landlord has to give someone heat.
No,
Or a way to get heat, like a furnace or.
and there's regulations, on plumbing and mechanical.
Yeah.
You can't have open wiring, which again, usually your electrical inspector oversees all of that, but
It gives them backup, correct?
absolutely. And it allows, and it allows a bigger scope for enforcement officers, i.e. if it was Gary, Gary can be the enforcement official of this book or myself to address those issues. So if I have to go out on a search warrant for whatever reason and I see there's open electrical, that's a violation of IPMC, I would certainly try to get a hold of the electrical inspector at that point. But if there was some issue, I have the authority then to write that ticket.
Oh,
What is international? Like, what are we saying? Like international, or like?
like international all over the world?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is like in Mexico and,
Well,
I mean,
wherever
I
it's
guess,
adopted.
I think that's just a
Oh.
fancy term.
cause I'm like, I've seen.
I will say all over the
Right.
United States, they do have.
Yeah, yeah.
What's
Maybe
international?
they meant international.
International.
So section 4, nothing in this ordinance or in the property maintenance code hereby adopted shall be construed to affect any suit or proceeding impending in any court or any rights acquired or liability incurred or any cause or causes of action acquired or existing under any act or ordinance hereby repealed, nor shall any just or legal right or remedy of any character be lost, impaired, or affected by this ordinance.
One giant sentence.
So
Yeah, that is.
basically, if it's something that's already been happening, we can't just, and we're already litigating over it or in the process of,
We can't
We
adopt
can't
this
say-
now and force it.
okay, yeah. Yep. A really long way to say that.
That's fair.
Okay, does that mean, like, if they've had,
They're grandfathered in.
So to speak.
so anyone that's had a violation, a zoning ordinance violation up to this point?
No.
Let's say I
This
have,
is
I
going on
have
right now.
a current case that I'm working
So that would keep you from adopting this
to try
Right.
to impose
Right,
upon
right.
them
Yeah.
when it's already ongoing.
But if it's,
You can only move forward. You can't, it's not retroactive.
okay,
Section 5, in their interpretation and application of provisions of this ordinance shall be held to be minimum requirements adopted for the promotion of public health, safety, and general welfare. Whenever the requirements of any other lawfully adopted rules, regulations, or ordinances apply and conflict with this ordinance, the most restrictive or that imposing the higher standards shall be governed. So if there's a conflict, whatever stricter rules. Section 6, whenever a violation of this ordinance occurs or is alleged to have occurred, any person must file a written complaint. And such a complaint shall state fully the causes and basis thereof and shall be filed with the zoning administrator, who shall record properly such complaint, investigate, and take action thereon as provided by this ordinance and make an answer to the complaint. So if you suspect your neighbor's in a renting situation, they know, you know, she doesn't have heat, a complaint's then filed with me and I follow up on it.
In writing. Person must
people
file a
that
complaint in writing.
Don't have zoning in their townships have this international property.
They certainly can.
management.
Because this is considered a policing ordinance. This is not a zoning ordinance.
I didn't know that.
Section 7, Columbia Township as the administrating and enforcing agency for 1972 PA 230 as amended hereby designates violations of the state construction code or of any of the nationally recognized codes incorporated into the state construction code and the international property maintenance as municipal civil infractions. So we're stating if you violate this, the result is a civil infraction citation, so a civil ticket.
right,
It's not a misdemeanor, it's
going
not
to
a
jail.
felony,
right.
it's just a civil infraction. Section 8, Columbia Township as the administrating enforcing agency for 1972 PA 230 is amended hereby sets forth penalties for violation of the state construction code or of any of the nationally recognized codes incorporated in the construction code as follows. Any person, firm, association, partnership, corporation, or governmental entity that violates any of the provisions of this ordinance shall be deemed to be responsible for a municipal civil infraction as defined by Michigan statute, which shall be punishable by a civil fine determined in accordance with the following schedule. Minimum fine, maximum fee. First offense, $125 to $250. Second offense, $275 to $550. Third offense, $350 to $700. Fourth or more offense is $500 to $1,000 within a 3-year period determined based on the date of commission of the offenses.
That's generous.
So a second offense, you can have a second offense in in a 3-year period? Yeah, that's generous.
I have
That
like
is
cases
generous.
that I'm on the 6th offense within a year.
Yeah, but see, that makes sense to me.
Right.
So
This-
something happens in year 1 and then you get a second offense in year 3, that's,
Right. I mean, that's like, yeah, and then things magically go away, or at least the enforcement of things magically go away, so
But the other thing to
I
remember
would agree
is
with that, the 3-year.
yeah.
that that is very typical. I always put subsequent offenses on tickets, but it has to be for the exact same owner, for the
Oh.
exact same property, for the exact same accumulation of garbage for drug use.
But you
So if they clean up all their junk, but they bring in 4 vehicles,
or junk,
that's a new offense.
yeah.
That's not the same. If that kind of helps.
But
clear that up.
really, if they're, and this doesn't tie us to staying on top of it, you
Right.
know what I mean? If you're busy and don't have time to stay up on top of every single one, you can still have
Kind
a
of.
3-year period to,
Oh, I feel.
you know, just start over within the 3 years, so.
And I will tell you that as the offenses become subsequent and the fines become larger, it is typically seen that,
Something happens.
yeah,
So-
they get the picture.
Okay, an offense. Someone makes a complaint, you go out, you find the complaint is true. And you tell them, look, you got this complaint, you gotta do this or that. They don't do it.
I
When does the
immediately, if
second
it is
offense
a,
come in? 3
if
years
it is
later?
a violation of the International Property Maintenance Code, if it is a building code violation, to the point that it is deemed an unsafe structure, it is,
Well, let's say they're
if
living with
it's
no plumbing.
immediate, it's an immediate ticket that immediately gets sent to court. I don't give a warning. Now, if it's
Just too much.
garbage,
Weak or too
vehicles,
soft.
Living with no plumbing.
No. that's a village.
that I would just write a ticket for. I wouldn't give a notice. But the vehicles, the garbage, things like that, then we do the same like procedures that we're doing now. We could send an initial notice of violation. You have such amount of days to bring it into compliance. Here.
So what my question
To
is.
bring it into compliance, and then we would do a citation if the compliance hasn't been done.
I'm trying to understand where the 3-year period comes in this. So they've got a complaint, it's a valid complaint, you issue a citation or whatever it is. Or a warning, whatever, and they're asked to do something, they don't do it. When does not doing it become a second offense? Or does it?
It doesn't. That would all be part of the first offense.
Okay.
So let's say, you get a notice for violation of garbage, you've got 10 days, you don't do anything, so now you have a ticket, you still don't do anything. So now we're in court, you still don't do anything, we get a compliance order. Yeah. Oh, I didn't know if he was watching.
Oh, no.
Thank you.
So
We go to court, we get a compliance order, we clean it up, the property's brought into compliance, closed. Or on the vice versa, they get a notice, they clean it up, now it's closed, case over.
Okay,
And 3 months from now, they do it again. That would be a second offense.
The exact same thing though.
the last sentence says each day is a a separate violation.
Each day that a violation
Each day of a
of
violation.
this. Wait,
So,
The only time that I have utilized that is, so we start getting into. We tag a building as unsafe. You cannot occupy it, you cannot sleep there, eat, drink, cook. You may not be in there for any purpose other than to bring it up to code. And they say, well, I'm gonna do it anyways. So now you have violated the tagging of the building deemed as unsafe. So now we have provisions past that point to say, okay, we're gonna fine you every night because it's not safe for you to be in here. You cannot be in here. So that's where that comes into play. So this doesn't,
okay. The each day,
yeah,
okay.
we're not going to fine you each day for vehicles or for trash. So this is mainly
Okay.
for, like I said, for dangerous structures, for dangerous imminent situation that there's a violation of. Same thing with if anybody issues a stop work order for reasons X, Y, and Z, and you continue to work past that point, you can be fined every day. Which again, generally under Michigan Building Code, aside from this, is the same exact thing. You can get fined every single day for that. So section 9. In addition to the sanctions herein provided, the Columbia Township Board shall have the authority to proceed in any court of competent jurisdiction for the purpose of obtaining an injunction, restraining order, or other appropriate civil proceedings to prevent, enjoin, abate, or remove any violation of this ordinance. Meaning, again, let's say it's an unsafe structure. The people continue to live there, and I actually have this exact same case right now. And I contact the attorney and say, they continue to violate it. Nothing's being done. They will not get out of this house. Go file an injunction with district court so we can get a stay of action and a judge to sign. You cannot be there. So that's giving us jurisdiction to do so. And yes, I've had to do that. I had that conversation this morning.
Tell people they can't stay there.
But wouldn't but some of this stuff seems a little bit like overkill, like wouldn't some of the ordinances and the things that we already have in place address a lot of the things that we're just.
So the property, I don't want you to necessarily think of typical properties, and I would be more than happy to share photographs of what I'm talking about. We're talking about this specific property, huge amount of external light, 0 indoor plumbing, to the point that a toilet seat was put over a Rubbermaid tote that they are defecating in, dumping the defecation into a plastic garbage bag and throwing it out the window.
Oh my God.
Okay, so, but these are the types of, again, imminent danger situations that
So
we're
this is
talking about.
extreme.
Yes,
This is giving
Correct.
expedient type of, options for extreme situations.
so this particular house we tagged, you cannot be in, other than to bring it up to code, right? So you have to have your plumbing, electrical, all of these permits. You can go in, do the work to bring it up to code, but they're still living there, they're not doing any work.
People forget we have plumbing to not have typhoid.
Correct. So now, whereas trying to get the health department to come out and, sometimes that's hit or miss. So we can bypass the health department at this point and take immediate action. On mine, we're going ahead, we're gonna file an injunction and have a court order that says you may not be there. If you are found living there past this point, you will be arrested for trespass.
Oh, there's a few cases we could use that in our.
So these are very extreme cases. Unfortunately, they're more and more permanent as we go.
So do you, when you're on a case, when you're doing that, at that location, talking to those people, do you have like services that you can tell them where they can go to
Yes,
get? Cause
And
yes.
that is
if
just,
you don't want them.
I know, but that's just, that just blows my mind that.
The majority of the
I
time,
am very, very sheltered, apparently.
the majority of the time, they already have caseworkers
Yeah.
and they're not compliant.
And and a lot of times sometimes it's drugs, it's mental illness, and sometimes it's just like a combination. And it's that thing where I just wanna live like this, I don't wanna pay bills, I
Yep, so this
I
particular
do what
one,
I want.
this particular one, husband and wife, they had already had their 3 kids removed by CPS a few weeks prior. Got reports of the living conditions, went in, found meth, so there was, you know, I had obvious police out there were arrests that were made. Found the plumbing issues, tagged the house. They both already have caseworkers, CPS is involved. So there's only, and I have pamphlets and brochures, I work with in CASA, with the Gateway Foundation for if you need food, if you need medical, if you need, you know, DHS, APS, CPS, whatever services that you may need. I have found people homeless shelters. I have found people, you know, temporary living conditions. So I don't ever want to displace someone without an alternative. I've done that one time and I will tell you that I was in worse shape than he was.
I can imagine that.
But I tried to provide those services and it didn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
But I do always try to give, here's what your options are at this point.
Do you also come out itching? I just, I would just.
I didn't have one, I was like, I had a white t-shirt on, jeans, I had my, you know, my farm mud boots on. But I came out of that house and my white shirt was black and I was only in there for not even 5 minutes. We had to bomb everything, the car, all of our vehicles, and I literally went home. Said, no, I burned them.
You learn not to
I
bring
burned
your
them
purse
and
in,
then
you learn to.
Oh, yeah.
So now we have Tyvek suits, we have hot
sit
shot,
on the very
we bed
edge.
bugs. Yes, so then it happens.
Can we move on?
Yeah.
It happens. But anyways, to sum up the story, it's worst case scenario.
Okay, I get it.
It's not just, you know, the dumpy house across the street.
No. No, this is,
That's-
I'm getting calls from APS for a welfare check.
And a lot of times if they don't have children, they've got animals. And then the animals are living
Yeah,
like that,
they,
3 gigantic
up.
dogs living in a little mini camper.
And then they get on the news.
And it's-
I had one 2 weeks ago, I pulled out 14 dogs out of a camper, so yes, that happens as well. So moving on, so section 9 or section 10, in addition to any and all remedies set forth in Columbia Township ordinance, the township may request the cost of prosecution, the cost of recovery, and the cost of removal shall become a lien on the property upon which is the subject matter of the action. So any sort of cleanup, my time, building inspector's time, admin time, that's all gonna go on as a property lien, which is what we do now.
Yeah, and I agree with it being the property owner also, not
Yes,
just the violator, because the property owner, a lot of times they allow this, they enable it.
it's, well, tickets have to legally be written to the property owner, not the tenant. But it is not fair that the taxpayers of a municipality pay for someone's blood or someone's issues, so it goes on a property lien. And I'm not saying that that is always 100% recovered. Because there are chances, you know, I have seen $30,000 cleanup bills. And they have subsequently lost that property on back taxes. But we do the best that we can to recover that money, so it is not at the expense of the taxpayer. Section 11, should any section or provision of this ordinance be declared by a court of competent jurisdiction to be unconstitutional or invalid, such decision shall not affect the validity of the ordinance as a whole or part thereof, other than the part so declared to be unconstitutional or invalid. I've never seen this happen. I suppose it could. But we're not gonna throw out the whole international property maintenance code, just that specific section. And that would have to typically go through the Michigan Supreme Court. So we're talking a higher appellate court to overrule that. And then 12 is just the effective date.
So what happened, you said in 2018, it did not get adopted, what?
So 2018, it got fully adopted. 2021, they came out with a new version, which they, every few years, they come out with a new version, but with COVID and everything shutting down, it never got fully adopted. So we're still going off from the 2018 version,
Okay,
because by the time they got around to, hey, we could adopt this, they're already starting to write the new.
Of the book you're talking about?
Correct.
Okay.
So once this is adopted, this is 2018 and any subsequent. So you don't have
to do it
to,
every time.
Yeah, that's good.
it will automatically update to the new version.
Yeah, that's nice.
That's kind of dull, but.
Yeah. But I've seen people that every time we have to. go
Because
back,
wouldn't it
so.
just be worded the ruling international argument? It's just wording, I don't know. Mumble.
So you need from us a motion to recommend the Board of Trustees adopt this?
Correct,
Done.
if you so choose.
I think so. What do you guys think?
Do I mean Anita made the motion?
Yeah, oh, wow, yeah.
So we're gonna,
Okay. Want to second it?
I would, but I've got to vote on it
Oh,
again.
yeah.
But yeah, that, I mean,
Yeah.
What was the motion to approve?
To
recommend to the.
recommend it.
You support?
Yeah, I do.
oh, Shelley supports.
The international property, that's covered.
So, all in favor?
Roll call vote, please.
Oh,
Shelley,
I,
Beverly,
aye.
Anita?
Aye.
David, aye. Both good. Accepted almost unanimously, except Michelle.
thank you very much. So obviously it'll have to go to the board and then through public hearing, then it'll have to, it's questionable with it being a policing ordinance, not required to send it to county planning commission, but it may be sent as a courtesy.
So,
Cause it wouldn't, like it would just.
Like zoning is required to send to county planning commission.
Right, but
But
our
this- we didn't
resolutions,
write
we
this.
don't send our resolutions to them.
No, just the ordinance, so.
And we didn't write this. We're just.
Yep, so
using
you're just
somebody else.
requesting that.
And that just delays it.
Proceed.
Hopefully the board will just approve it and publish it.
so.
If they-
Well, they
agree with
still
it.
gotta go through public hearing, but
Oh,
I do
well,
believe, I could be wrong again, because that's on that line of between policing and zoning.
yeah, I'm not sure.
So who presents this to the board?
The attorney would say that, would know.
You would,
So I'll,
so what I will have it is, I'll shoot him an email that said he has to send it to you.
yeah,
That will talk about it at the meeting.
okay. And then ask for it to be on the following agenda,
Yes, I believe it's on the agenda anyway, so,
unless they can add it to this agenda.
actually, I think it might be on this
Oh,
agenda.
that'd be great.
Next week.
Yeah, Tuesday.
Okay, we did that.
Yeah. We did that.
We did
So
that.
I thank you very much, and I,
Yeah, well, are we going over the property maintenance code or are we good?
nope, that's what we just did, so
So is this?
we're under old business.
Are there like some situations around here that you think this might apply to? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay,
So can we skip old business and go to reports?
Yeah,
Because if we want to get
That's
out
great.
here at 85.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. It's completely up to you guys.
Do we need a motion for that? To skip that and to put it on the next meeting or no? Does that automatically happen?
go ahead.
I'm not
I think we
doing
can
it.
just table it. It doesn't have to be a motion.
yeah, table,
Okay,
We can just table it.
table for the next meeting.
great.
So zoning administrator report.
So I have, let me pull up. And I apologize, obviously, I'm usually more prepared than meeting yesterday to everything I got.
The wind out of your sails.
Yeah.
I was here prepping for it for 5 hours.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's
I
terrible.
Like, you saw how big the packets were, and, I mean, so it was a whole thing.
Better than the day.
You have?
Oh, you went all.
Yeah,
Oh, my
yeah.
goodness.
I'm gonna go get a second opinion, I think, because I got one of those little gadgets for at home use. Cause I'm like, I need to know.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Cause I
for.
can't always tell. Not always this, out of that either. Just usually just a day here and there.
Sorry, I'm trying to read a spreadsheet.
That's not
Okay, so. In June, I had a permit. Approved for County Road 388. For an accessory structure. And July 12th approved a. Permit for an accessory structure on 50th Street. And then I'm in the process of. Clarifying some information on another zoning permit that was submitted again for an accessory structure. That's on Hill Drive. Again, just need some clarifications on some things and then I'll figure, get that one done and submitted in. Everything has really kind of been centered around the appeal and variance from last night, so it's the majority of what I've been doing. A lot of calls about zoning districts, setbacks. Like usual, I'm typically running between 50 to 75 phone calls a month. In those. And that's
So is a lot of that realtors?
realtors, appraisers, contractors.
Cause they don't wanna do their homework, they just pick up the phone, right?
Well, the problem is, a lot of times is, so GIS does have a zoning tax classification. Right, so it may say residential on it. But that may be not what it is actually zoned.
Oh, they're
That
looking
is just
for
the
what
tax
district they're
classification
in.
based
Oh.
off from use. So let's say they have a commercial property, but they actually live in the building.
Yeah,
They're getting taxed one thing, but we're showing it zoned another. So they always have to call and verify because what the county shows is not actually the zoning district. So those are the majority of the phone calls that we get.
those
Um,
accessory
we-
structures, can I ask a question about those? Are they garages or pole barns? And do you remember off the top of your
I
head?
can
No?
certainly tell you.
And if they're accessories, so they're on property with a home,
Correct.
I'm just curious. Especially the one on 50th.
Okay, the one on 50th was for a 12 by 32.
That's not very big.
No, it's only 384 square feet. And then the one on 388. Was originally denied due to setbacks. With a note that it could be resubmitted with correct placement, which they did.
Oh, good.
I don't like to just do a
Right.
straightforward denial
Right,
if it's something that can be worked out.
yeah.
So that was for a 68 by 32. This was for an ag building. Like I said, County Road 388. For an 8-acre ag zone building.
8 acre, you said?
The building is 8 acres?
No, their property is 8 acres, it's zoned ag, yep, but it's for, the building is for ag use.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
I would like to, I heard you guys talking about it. Chuck passed away last night. With that being said, it kind of leaves an issue with where do we go from here with the building inspector? I talked to Karen this morning when she called to let me know. And I gave her a name of someone that I know. And then I received an email from Ken asking, please let me know immediately. So I called, his name is Rich McGrew. I have several contracts that I share with him. I've worked with him for years. He's always done a great job. He also has his zoning administrator certification, so he is very conscientious of zoning, and he's a process person, which is why we get along very well. But I did talk to him. He has agreed, pending conversation with the board and with Ken, to step in as interim so that the township is not
To keep
kind of
services
left
going.
Right, we have to keep
Yeah.
things going.
Yeah, that's great.
So I sent Ken his information. So just to make everyone aware.
So is he interested in the position?
He would do interim with the possibility of a long-term conversation. I didn't know enough about the details, nor was it my place to even have that conversation, other than, would you be interested interim to even consider it? So I'll let them work it out, but I do call him quite frequently with questions that I have, and he's always been a wealth of knowledge.
Good.
All right,
So hopefully that can kind of ease the burden a little bit. So we'll see what happens.
So they can also get temps out of MTA. right?
I'm sorry.
They can also get temps out of MTA,
MTS.
or MTA, yeah.
I do believe so. I don't know what the pricing is or how to go about that or what the details are.
Right.
It also pull from the state.
I'm not sure that they have a building. Do they have a building inspector?
You know, because I had one when I was building my house.
Yeah.
At least for a while.
So I know there's other options, so certainly it's whatever the board chooses to do. Again, I don't know enough details about contracts and how all of that works, because it's completely different from how my stuff works.
So we can move on to the ZBA stuff.
Oh, well, we had a meeting last night
Yeah.
and it was long and intense. and we denied. We had an appeal and a variance request, and we denied them both. For a big giant barn that's being built over on Saddle Lake. That apparently you can see from everywhere.
I'm still not sure where it is.
You can see it from 384.
Mhm.
Can you?
Yeah.
Sure can.
Mhm.
Okay. It is on the lake side, right? Yeah.
It's right on the lake. I don't know why living on the lake, you would want to build that monstrous of a barn. Right on the
Make
lake,
sure,
right on the
Right.
lake.
yeah,
It didn't make sense, but okay, just because I don't agree with it. if you-
right, that has.
That's what you want to do, that's
choice
fine, but
With
So-
the decision.
yeah, so it was, yeah, so we denied, because it's too big for the, for what's allocated in ordinance, so.
And I imagine it's hard and stressful when you do have to deny something, but thank you for
So
what you do.
they're gonna have to cut it back or tear it down.
Well, the attorney thinks that they will probably just take us to court, so we'll have to see what that.
So ultimately, to comply, they're gonna have to remove it.
Or just make it small,
Or make it small.
or make it smaller.
There's also a,
Setbacks.
there's also a setback issue,
Yes.
a large setback issue.
What is setback supposed to be?
That was
I
90.
mean, it cannot be closer to the water's edge than the primary. Cannot be. So this is why we reworded setbacks.
Yes,
Right, and why I was pretty
I
adamant.
was thinking that last
Please,
night when I
Let's
didn't
please
understand.
redo this. So it cannot be any closer to the lake than any other structure of the same type within
Okay.
200 feet, and if no such structures exist, cannot be closer to the water than the primary dwelling.
Oh,
That seems easy to understand.
it's that similar structure within 200 feet that is
Correct.
the problem.
That's throwing in.
Correct.
Because they found a shed that's like,
That's not similar. A shed's not a full.
well, we couldn't.
They're
tell if it-
arguing but it's an accessory structure.
Yeah,
So. But that's, to sum it up, the
yes,
verbiage of that is why I was so adamant, can we please
Mhm.
discuss setbacks?
yes,
And make it a number or a strict cannot be closer to than the dwelling.
Mhm.
It is. Trying to explain that to people when they call, is difficult.
yeah,
So we're gonna have to revisit that about on the lake, the front yard is,
No, so the accessory structure and accessory dwelling ordinance that we went over specifically addresses that.
Mhm.
And it's a numerical setback.
Mhm.
Anywhere else. Other than, again, you cannot build in the required front yard. And front yard being defined as lakeside on lake property. So it's very clear, concise, to the point,
I didn't know. if that-
layman's terms.
Mhm. I don't even know where her house was in relation to the barn. I never saw a picture of that. So I don't,
It is very much in the required front yard.
oh, so because that's what you were just asking, on a lake, the front yard is your lakeside.
Correct.
Why? Is she blocking her own view of the lake?
Yeah. Which, again, I guess to each their own, but,
Well, you never know, that pole barn may turn into a house,
Yeah, or something else.
but nobody.
I have had a couple phone calls and heard of some uses,
Really?
even since last night, that I had no clue of last night, yeah. But we'll
Interesting.
figure
He
it
has
out.
a lot of boats. Like, I think she said 3 boats, a pontoon, jet skis, and some. I wanted to ask her what she does for a living, because how do you get to have all that stuff and live on a?
Well, her husband works for a Marine.
And
Gets a band.
just like that, it's clear.
Found that out today.
I grew up in South Florida. There was a whole lot of that.
So, but I don't want to speculate. It was stated for storage use, so that's what. Until we know factually otherwise, that's what its purpose is.
Okay, so council board member.
I emailed you guys my report, and, I don't have a report on the last board meeting because
I've said it before,
did
I'm gonna
anything.
say it again. I really like when you put your board report, when you send us that.
Yeah, thank
Because
you.
it helps me refresh what we talked about in the
Exactly.
meeting,
Thanks.
that what we did here, that you reported.
Yeah, well, good.
I like that, thank
I'm
you.
glad it's of use.
Thank you.
And you know, thanks, Beth.
Oh, and now they say that, should I do the same?
So, that's it.
That's it.
Before you adjourn. Here is, free time. Some reading documents on short-term rentals.
Oh,
It
good.
continues to be-
Homework,
continues to be an issue.
Homework.
Yes, it-
And I gave Paul.
Got homework.
We don't have anything right now on short-term rental, because in my,
No, but I did give you a sample ordinance on short-term rentals.
before,
Correct, but the biggest issue is who is going to enforce them and who's going to be doing the inspections.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So whichever way the board decides to go with a building inspector, I will say that I have asked a lot of questions of this particular individual, and he does do a lot of short-term rental and rental inspections. He's a wealth of knowledge on it. Like I said, he's where I get a lot of my documentation from for it. So hopefully that kind of answers some of those questions. I still feel that it would be in the township's best interest to continue to move forward with looking at and addressing short-term rentals.
You too, because
There's a
there's shit by it
huge-
really bad. I mean, it's bad enough already. It's gonna just be worse.
so short-term rental, meaning like an Airbnb.
For both, so it's actually an allowance ordinance, not a restriction ordinance. But it puts rules and regulations in place to govern the short-term rentals. So you have to keep the integrity of the district.
Like no 20 people in a house that can hold 9.
Correct.
No 3 AM parties, no
Correct.
standing in the yard shooting the gun. Maybe we could regulate the single garage by me. On a vacant lot. It's grandfathered in. If we do.
But anyways, but that's at your pleasure. I just wanted to give you a little bit more background and the first one's the Michigan Court of Appeals. Rules in favor of the townships, not the occupants of short-term rentals.
Yeah.
So this was the original case law for it.
Does anyone know where the state's at with this? I kind of quit watching it in frustration. I was kind
It
of
depends on
keeping
the
track.
day. They're really trying to take it at a state level and out of the local municipalities,
Same with the gravel mining.
which I'm really hoping that's
That
not
one
the
is
case.
gonna really come back to get people in rural areas, because you won't even be able to regulate their hours of use.
Right. And I did just see, and I will try to find the link to send to you all if you are interested. I don't remember if it was MTA or MSU is having a webinar on those exact issues, the gravel mining and the short-term rentals and the importance of keeping it into the local municipalities.
I
So see
already
if I
agree
can
with that.
find.
And I sent that out to our board members too, the thing about
Oh, good.
gravel mining, and I've been doing that for 3 years now. That's been going on a long time. So in the short-term rental thing, it's like, they just try to beat you down, wait you out and outspend.
Wait till it falls out of everyone's
Yeah.
thought process. This email we got about satellite subdivision, private road work, is this something that
I feel like that's not an email that we should all get.
That's kind of interesting.
Well, yeah, it's interesting, I mean, sure, but someone building the complaint.
What email are you talking about?
Now they're working on the roads.
I've had
Satellite
probably 12 emails about this.
private road work without. a
Oh, about the
site
same topic, okay.
Laura is issuing a cease and desist. I have some legality questions on. I don't want the township to overstep our bounds. So private roads per our ordinance are in effect the regulations except for platted and planned unit development.
Oh, and this is a platted, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So I need some clarification for me before proceeding, so that I know.
Okay,
Because per the ordinance as it's written right now, I have questions.
Well, at the very minimum, somebody operating heavy equipment at 3 in.
Yeah.
That's not right there.
Correct, and Gary and I did
Recording.
talk about, so with noise, I know we're getting off topic, but with noise ordinance violations. They're very hard to uphold, because typically the court wants a decibel level. So you have to have the decibel reader,
Own one.
but it has to be currently certified. And the operator also has to be state certified.
I don't think the noise ordinance is the issue, it's the, why are you doing it from 9 PM to 4 AM
Correct.
if you're on the up and up?
Correct. So soil and erosion, and that's what
Like the gravel.
road commission, drain commission, and
That no one knows is there.
I want to say DNR have all been contacted.
Gravel line.
So that is something that we're currently working on.
Okay, so we don't, this isn't anything, this is just free information.
Yeah, kind of just an FYI.
Okay,
Thank you for bringing that up.
I had no idea if there was any place nearby that looked like this. Those are all,
Oh, from the ladies.
is that? I mean, each of those little boxes is a,
Yeah, that's all the
I've not
residential
seen that.
flats
Did
that
that
are
come from the
teeny
email?
tiny.
yeah, was it,
Okay.
you have to get to the email.
Okay, because it was so little, I'm like, yeah, I
I'm like,
can
where is this?
do that.
I still don't know if I know where it is. Oh, but this document is dated July 2nd, 1931.
Yeah, so that's the original plat. Which today we would consider a planned unit development. But obviously that didn't exist at that point.
Are there houses here?
So if you pull up the county GIS, you can see.
Is that the
the
unbuildable
parcels,
lots?
The,
No, this isn't unbuildable lots there.
that's the platted,
Well,
I
Little
think
Bear
I
Lake
got
is
it, like,
platted
I got it on the
and
map,
that
like,
is,
whatever map.
so some of that did not, some of it did not ever get developed. Such as this particular road. So this was the original, here I'm planning this, but not all of it came to fruition.
Okay, okay.
and now he's making a brand new road.
He's making something.
Do they own enough of the land around it to be able to?
No,
You
because
can't
it
just-
said something about neighbors
You can't just make
do stuff,
Stuff.
but he was
wherever
doing,
you want either.
Yeah,
piling stuff up in front of neighbors.
Oh,
driveways and
nice.
stuff, So,
yeah.
So yep, Justin has been out and talked to him. Ken, Gary and I are all addressing it as well.
And he said the
And the attorney.
county road commission gave him permission. That's what he supposedly said to the deputy.
Correct, but we talked to road commission, that's not accurate.
Yeah.
Accurate.
We probably said, that's not our problem, you can do whatever you want.
Township has jurisdiction over private roads. So that's when I pulled the private road ordinance and we're at the questions that I have. Now, per Michigan statute, yes, the jurisdiction does fall on the township. Which is why I'm just going to have the attorney address it so that we do it 100% correctly. Especially when dealing with state statute. Because we're getting a little, road buildings a little out of my forte.
And just because somebody owns a bulldozer doesn't mean that.
You should tear everything down.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it might be fun, but
then
Every
you're
time I know I
stuck.
can have one, because he just wants carried me out.
Are we adjourned yet?
Yeah.
Yeah, last thing we have is public comments, and there's nobody here to comment. So if somebody would like to make a motion that we adjourn, we can adjourn.
I move to adjourn at 8:16.
And you don't make the motion,
I'll support.
Beverly supports, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
You got what